Welcome to Psychic Bent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic. Welcome back, listeners, to Psychic Bent. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed last week's episode where we discussed the stormy four of the kinesis. This week, Carrie's going to be discussing 4 other psychic characteristics that you might have a chance to develop if you find it interesting. The first one's going to be astral projection, then bilocation, automatic writing, and then psychometry, which that one I think is really interesting. I can't wait to hear what you've got to say on that one, Carrie.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Why don't you go ahead and start us off on the astral projection?
Certainly. Now, the astral projection, we've touched base on, actually, we talked about each one of these on a previous episode. We just didn't, it was a lot of information in one episode. I believe it was our psychic toolbox that we went through these particular items. So we're just going to do a little more, not a deep dive, but a little more information about it. Sometimes when you hear it on one episode and another episode is a little bit different, it's said differently or different information is given, and it's more of a like, oh, I get that now.
Right.
Kind of thing. Or, okay, still got it. You know, it kind of depends. Hopefully that something resonates with you from this episode. And of course, we want something from every episode to resonate with you, but hopefully you did get something great out of it. So the astral projection is also referred to as an out-of-body experience, or OBE. That's usually what it's referred to. The second name is astral projection. So, but basically astral projection, just like the name implies, it's kind of projecting, it's a phenomenon where your soul gets projected from your body and actually leaves your body. Now, it's a short-term detachment. So it's basically of the spiritual and the physical form detachment, just like, you've probably seen or read articles about near-death experiences where someone hovers over their bed or looking down upon their body before they go back into their body and they come back to life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of similar. Now, having said that, when you're astral projecting, it's perfectly safe. You do have a cord that's attached to your soul, to you. So if you do actual projection, it's safe. You basically can leave your body and go someplace else and then come back.
Now, go someplace else. You're not just referring to around your current location where you're at. Are you talking about also going to other dimensions, or?
It could be other dimensions. There's been, I've done astral travel, which, of course, we talked about this before, where I didn't realize that's what I was doing. And Kim's like, I think you're doing this thing called astral traveling at night. And it was kind of like, what? What am I doing at night? And of course I had to do all the research and on it, like, oh no, she's right. That's what I'm doing at night. And I was going someplace else. And I was helping people. So I was working all night and I'd wake up tired because I was going to these places. And it wasn't any place I've ever seen before. Once you figure out what it is, first it just seems like a really weird dream, but you wake up tired. So basically, it's not like you're going to detach and go down the street and come back. I guess you could, but it's usually you're going someplace else. Like I've heard of stories where someone astral projects and they meet a psychic at a coffee shop. That's like psychic teachers. Samantha's had that, where she said several people say that they astral traveled and met her at a coffee shop and talked to her, got a reading and stuff, and then she was like, yeah, I remember that. Where she astral traveled as well.
Gotcha.
So it could be situations like that. Now, there are common signs of the astral projection, and signs, of course, are a way of verifying that this is what's going on with you. A lot of people don't know about astral projection because they just basically forget what is happening at the time of the phenomena. Actually, there are several forms of it. They are separated and distinguished by period in which such phenomenon occurred. Like the astral form usually leaves the physical one when the person is not conscious. So you can't astral travel when you're awake.
So meditation is out whenever you do the astral projection.
You can meditate prior to falling asleep, but you cannot be awake you can't be awake when your soul leaves your body.
Okay.
Yeah. So when a person sleeps, and like if you ever suddenly felt the jolt, that's usually an opportunity for the body that reconnects with his or her astral body.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like if you've ever been sound asleep and you get jolted awake, where your whole body just jerks. Sometimes that could be a medical condition, but sometimes it's you returning from your astral projection.
Yeah, I've had it happen many times.
And that's a horrible feeling to be jerked awake like that. Like, well, because you are sleeping so soundly because the astral projection is going on. So there's some different signs as well, like a certain vibration. At the time when you are near to an astral project, your body will start vibrating at its best. So the sense of vibration is not so powerful at the start, but when time goes on, it will increase. So you might feel a certain kind of vibration. So your heart rate might increase when you're getting ready to do an astral travel. And it's actually been tested by medical tools and instruments. So it's not uncommon for your heart rate to increase. Buzzing, that is a sign of astral projection. A lot of people report hearing various sounds between or even before the time of the astral projection. Some sounds, such as birds singing, the ringing of bells, things like that, are most commonly heard sounds. When the sound is louder and more intense, it means that the person is close to reaching the purpose. So that person should listen to the sound and then wait in order to see what will come next. So, like if you've projected and now you hear a buzzing, mm-hmm. or a bell, or something like that, then you want to pay attention to what's going on. Not that you're not going to pay attention to begin with, because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I think, Kim, you suffer from this one more so, sleep paralysis.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
Yes, mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, that is the most common and evident sign of astral travel or astral projection. The body of a person starts feeling numb, and when it's not able to move his arms and legs at his will, although he wants to. However, this should not cause any worries. It's just a temporary condition. When the astral form is prepared to leave the physical one, the person will become paralyzed for a short time, which makes sense. You shouldn't be up moving around if you're astral traveling somewhere.
Yeah, good point.
but I know you have that issue.
I do have that issue. And sometimes with that, I actually remember what is happening with the astral projection. Body can't move, but I'm in the room, but not where I was at. You know what I'm saying? It's as though I'm moving around the room, but I know I'm in bed asleep and I can't move. Then comes the big jerk, the big
crash landing,
and you have to slowly acclimate yourself back to where you're at. There's a lot of slow breathing that you need to do, or I need to do.
The first couple times it's scary.
It is scary,
but once you realize what's going on, then you're like, okay, this is what's happening. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be a few more minutes, because I think once you start to be aware of it, that's when your astral journey is coming to an end.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, sometimes you can have visual hallucinations. So at the time of this phenomena, a person can actually see what he or she cannot see with their physical eyes. These signs, the visual hallucination, are just one indication of the astral projection. All the images which the person can see can appear more vivid and prominent. However, just because they are simply a hallucination, you shouldn't worry. So you might see different things. Like you said, you saw you walking around the room.
Yes.
That could have been a visual hallucination.
Right. That makes sense.
So variations in weight. So when the astral form is prepared to detach from the physical one, there are two different things which can occur. The first thing is that a person will either feel heavier because the astral form just wants to leave, and as it tries to do that, the gravity pulls it with more force. The second thing which could happen is that the person will feel light, or he or she will release itself from the pull of the gravitation. I don't recall feeling a weight difference. Do you?
No, I don't think so. No. I think the paralysis is more what I feel than any kind of weightlifting experience or even heavier. I don't think I feel that. No.
Well, I think people do more astral traveling than what they realize. Because I was doing it for a while, and I'd be like calling Kim, like, "Oh my gosh, I went to bed early. I slept. I'm tired when I wake up," and I'm like, "And this is what I dreamt all night," and blah blah blah. And nothing makes sense, and it turned out that that's what I was doing. When you acknowledge that's what you're doing, I think you have a little more control over it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Once you identify that that's actually what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I notice that if I'm going through a really stressful period, if something very stressful is going on with my life, the astral travel stops.
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah, or if you're sick, you're not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of stops there as well, which makes sense. You need to rest. You need to take care of yourself.
Right, so that is shut off for the moment, or your vibrations are
Right.
lower than normal. So I think you do have to have a higher vibration, though, to be able to do the astral travel and projection.
Right. Yeah, and there are, of course, guided meditations you can do to prepare you for astral travel.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that guided meditation is also going to help you fall asleep, because you can't, you have to be asleep.
Right.
For this to happen. So obviously you're not going to try to meditate while driving down the road.
Never.
No, yeah, never. But this is something you would want to do, because like you spoke of on the last episode, meditating before going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's the type of meditation you're going to want to do if that's what your goal is to try astral travel.
Yeah.
And of course, there's tons of YouTube videos and books out there, and a lot of research to check it out, see what resonates with you.
I agree. All kinds of resources out there. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that rabbit hole just fall right on down.
Gets pretty deep sometimes.
It does. And my next, do you have anything else for astral projection or astral travel?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, then I'm going to jump on over to bilocation. And what does bilocation mean, Kim?
Well, it means that you are pretty much in two places at one time.
Yes. Now, that sounds a little far-fetched, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, because it's defying the laws of space and time.
Right.
It's a concept that has baffled scholars, mystics, and of course skeptics alike. So basically, the phenomena is referring to allegedly being the ability to be simultaneously present in two distinct locations. Now, bilocation is normally associated with saints, mystics, and spiritual figures. So those accounts of bilocation have been reported throughout history and across cultures. The origin of bilocation is traceable back to ancient tales and religious scriptures. Various religious traditions include accounts of saints and spiritual leaders appearing in different places at once. One of the most famous story revolves around Saint Anthony of Padua, Padua, I may not be saying that right, a Franciscan friar known for his remarkable ability to bilocate during his lifetime. So he didn't do it just once. He did it multiple times.
Well, I think several of them did it more than once.
Yes, they did. One source I came across, which I thought was really interesting, the term suggests, of course, that we talked about two different locations simultaneously. The phenomenon is often attributed to saints, spiritual figures, and even witches in folklore. So despite its mystical origin, there is a growing interest in exploring bilocation from a more scientific perspective, drawing from quantum physics and theories around multi-dimensional existence. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, just out of curiosity, do you appear solid? Do you appear in a ghostly form, see-through outline? I mean, how?
All the documented cases, none of them specifically say. So I would think you would be seen solid. Otherwise, I think the documentation would be, ghost-like, or
Gotcha.
because nothing says this. This person, looked a little, I could see through them. I think that would be even more documented, because that would be kind of like, what the heck is going on?
That's true. Good point.
Yeah. But specifically, I've not really seen that kind of description.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. So we had Saint Anthony of Padua was said to have possessed this ability, and it was often depicted as a divine gift, allowing these figures to perform miraculous acts or providing guidance across vast geographical expanses. The where of these instances spanned continents, from Italy to Portugal. So, and you're talking about the Middle Ages, where you can't get anywhere quickly.
Yeah, it takes days just to go to the town over.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of times you had to walk.
Yeah.
Or you're going by a horse and buggy, which is not going very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
So to go from Italy to Portugal would take some time.
Definitely, yeah.
Now, the concept of bilocation is woven into speculative discussions around the principles of quantum physics, specifically the phenomenon known as quantum superposition. According to this principle, a quantum particle can exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed or measured, at which point it collapses into a single state. So you have, obviously, something showing up several different states. So that's kind of, crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
So some of the proponents of quantum consciousness propose that if consciousness can describe using quantum mechanics, then bilocation might be scientifically possible. Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So the fascinating fact about quantum superposition is that it's been extremely experimentally observed in particles like electrons and photons. And it was even in a 2013 study conducted by the University of Bonn, Bonn, scientists were able to put a single particle into two places at once, observing it in a state of superposition. And similarly, in 2019 study, researchers from the University of Vienna and the University of Basel demonstrated that not just tiny particles, but even larger, more complex molecules could exist in several places at once. So you've got science behind, which would you have thought there would have been science behind bilocation?
No, but that's interesting.
Well, anytime you've got science involved in something where the paranormal is as well, I always find that interesting.
I do too.
Yeah. Now, thirdly, in a groundbreaking experiment in 2020, scientists from the University of Science and Technology of China successfully achieved quantum teleportation from a ground station to a satellite orbiting more than 14 kilometers above. This is above nature 2020. So they teleported. They did a quantum teleportation.
Wow.
I would love to see what that looked like.
Yeah, me too. Definitely.
Yeah. Now, of course, this is the extent of whatever Carrie knows of quantum physics. Don't call in with complicated questions.
Yeah.
We have several examples of the bilocation from historical accounts. So, and they came from religious texts and biographies of saints. One of the most famous cases of bilocation involves Saint Pedro Pio, a 20th century Capuchin priest from Italy. In the book Pedro Pio, The True Story, and that was written by C. Bernard Ruffin, numerous accounts of Padre Pio's bilocation are documented. Witnesses claim he appeared in various locations such as hospitals, homes, and even battlefields during World War I, offering comfort and spiritual guidance.
Wow.
Yeah, Padre Pio. Saint Anthony of Padua. Saint Anthony is another well-documented example of bilocation. within the Catholic tradition. In St. Anthony of Padua, the story of his life and popular devotions, it's recounted that while delivering a sermon in Italy, St. Anthony simultaneously appeared in Lisbon, Portugal, to testify in a murder trial, ultimately saving an innocent man's life.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
That's amazing.
Now, this one, Yogananda Paramanasa. In the Eastern spirituality, Yogananda, a reverend Indian yogi and guru, is said to, in this book, Autobiography of a Yogi, contains many miraculous accounts, including instances of bilocation by his guru, Swami Shur Yukswar. So I thought that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Now, there's also a phenomenon where it was researched by a Dr. Raymond Moody, who is a researcher of near-death experiences, and he has written about bilocation in his book Paranormal: My Life in Pursuit of the Afterlife, where he discusses cases where people undergoing near-death experiences felt that they were in two places at once.
Oh, I could understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see where that would be possible. Definitely.
So bilocation still remains a topic of intrigue that straddles lines between science and speculation.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got quantum physics that hints at the possibility. There's been some scientific evidence for human bilocation. We don't have definitive scientific evidence for human bilocating. But if someone was doing it today, I don't think they would be on, YouTube.
Right.
Showing it.
Yeah.
Because, if that is something that you're able to do, which would be pretty remarkable, obviously it's only been seen to do for the good of man.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I just thought bilocation was really interesting. Do you have anything to add to bilocation, Kim?
No. It's amazing how it was done in the past, ancient past, and yet that process has kind of lost the knowledge of it, I guess, or...
Well, when you're talking about that time period, people were more open to the natural phenomenons that were out there.
Mm-hmm.
They were more open to natural healing. They were more open to having a healer that would do whatever. And obviously there was witchcraft going on. There was, different belief systems. Things were more open,
Yeah.
I believe, because you were more intrigued. Things were passed down from generation to generation, and that's how you followed it. That's what you did.
Right, exactly.
If this was the belief and this was the story, it got followed down. It went from family to family. And I think there was more superstition
Right.
back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if there's more superstition, then there's more openness for abilities.
Right. I would agree with that.
So it's probably a lot more abilities that we don't even know about that happened back then,
Right.
But as we get more intelligent, we close off so much.
Yeah. Yeah. The doubts and whatnot. Yep. Ego.
So,
Everything.
oh yeah. We live in a society now where children get bullied over a computer, through a computer.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yep.
But that's the culture we live in. So if I were to go, an example of that, which I know I'm getting away from the topic. When Kim and I first started the podcast, we probably were like, I don't know, 2 months in, and I said, hey, I'm gonna just do an ad on Facebook, to promote the podcast. Oh my gosh, because we have podcast in the title of our Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
So the ad went to people that listen to a lot of podcasts.
Right.
Not aimed towards the people that were into the paranormal or into psychic. It went to people that do podcasts. You should have seen the feedback on that ad. It was shocking, wasn't it?
It was very shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. People were not kind. It didn't go to our people, obviously. And I kind of thought with psychic in the title of the podcast that Facebook would have geared it towards people that followed other psychic pages.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what happened. It went with the podcast.
Right.
And that just shows the age that we're in today. You've got so many people that were telling us we're going to hell. And, it's just like, okay, grow up. If you don't, one person did kind of get on there and tell people that if you don't like it, keep scrolling.
That's right.
Just keep scrolling.
Just keep scrolling.
He's like, keep scrolling. Why do you care? It was this guy was kind of like calling him out, like, why do you care?
Yeah.
If this isn't your thing, move on. But see, that's the world we live in. So if you're going to, try to develop some of your psychic abilities or what abilities, as you grow, you sadly, you almost have to hold that to hold it close to you and not share that with anybody outside of the psychic community.
Yeah, that's a sad thing.
It's very sad. Now on Facebook, obviously you can choose what pages you can follow. And then you kind of know your audience that way, but you always get some scammer in there that's going to say something. But I was surprised when we did an ad and was met with, it was almost nonstop, not nice stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So keep in mind that if you're gonna work with your abilities, that kind of know your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Keep a safe environment for yourself to keep your growth from being stifled or detrimental to your well-being. Because if someone is saying bad things to you, it was one of those, like, I had like, why am I taking this personally? This person does not even know what we do. This person has no interest in knowing what we do. This person is uptight and they have a problem. How I had to, and it was their problem because they couldn't just keep on scrolling.
Yep.
One guy posted, I don't know, was it like 6 or 7 different memes about going to hell? It was just like, you've got too much time on your hands, or you just look through and that's what you look for. You're zealous and you go looking to say mean things. That's not a religious person, or that's not a spiritual person. That's a religious person, I guess I should say.
Right.
But so kind of know your audience before you start to try to grow. And that's the one complaint Kim and I get a lot, is trying to find someone who understands what they're going through and not judge them for what they're going through.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because at first you don't understand that what's going on is psychic. Once you finally find out it's psychic, then it's a relief, because now there's nothing really wrong with you. This is just how you are. And it's kind of cool.
Yep.
So when we get into these different characteristics, don't go to one and go, no, people are going to mock me. No one needs to know what you're doing.
Right.
It's the left hand doesn't need to know what the right hand is doing.
Yeah, that's the classic.
Yeah. So keep in mind that, if electrokinesis wasn't your thing, that's fine. It wasn't my thing either. It was a little scary to me. But if that's your thing, practice it, try to develop it, but keep that kind of to yourself, until you find your group, your people.
Yep. And
it's the same with, if you think the bilocation is really cool, and we've got, there's some scientific studies that say, yeah, that can happen, because look what's happened here. Then study it, go after it, but just, don't put it on Facebook.
Right.
Because, and the reason I'm saying this is because when you're new in your spiritual growth, your feelings are very tender.
Oh, that they are.
Yeah, and you're kind of influenced in a way that, because you're trying to find your path. You're trying to find what resonates with you. It's overwhelming when you go online and try to find things. And, you find one thing, yes, that resonates with me. And the next thing you're like, oh, yeah, no, that doesn't yet. It's a process. So if we come up with something and you think that's not totally crazy, that's okay. We don't care. That you're right. But if you find something that sounds really cool and you want to try it, don't just put it out there. Work on it, develop it, and then see where spirit takes you with it.
Yeah, that's good advice.
I'll get off my soapbox now. So I'm staring at, we have surveillance cameras around the yard. You can look for wildlife, and there is this white, straight up and down mist down by the trees. And it's, not, it's, 50 something degrees. There shouldn't be a mist out there. But I just keep watching it. It's going straight up and down.
Huh.
Yeah. No, oh, it's disappearing now. Nope, it just moved. Okay. So we have weird things happen when we do the podcast. Things show up.
Yeah, that they do.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to go into automatic writing unless, Kim, you have anything you want to add to the soapbox?
No, I'm done. I'm stepping down too.
What do you think is important? Because, how often did that happen to us?
That was quite a few times.
Right. And you don't want that to hamper your growth or keep you from being on the path that would make you happy and the path you need to be on. That's all I got to say. So let's go to automatic writing.
Okay.
Okay. That's also called psychography. Psychography. I know that makes it sound weird the way I'm saying it because I'm saying psychography, but I'm hooked on phonics and that's how it comes out. So psychography. And it's the practice of tapping into a deep source of wisdom within you outside of your conscious awareness, also known as the soul, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're going to do intuitive writing, you're going to meditate first, so before you start the meditation process, you want to prepare your area around you. You want to make sure you're not going to be disturbed. You want to make sure that no one's going to bother you, that you're in a quiet, safe location. You're going to want your pen or pencil, whatever you want to draw with, and you're going to want a notebook. And you want to have everything prepared so you don't have to stop meditating and then gather things together. Mm-hmm. Now, what I like to do is I like to smudge prior to the meditation and do your protectiveness, whatever it is that you do for protection. And then I have the book open. I have my pen in my hand resting in the notebook, and I just start the meditation. Now, a lot of times what I find is good is to write out on this notebook prior to meditating your questions. This works really well if it's just you and you're wanting to get information. I've done it both ways where I write stuff down and then wait for the answer. And then I've done it where I leave it open and what do I need to know? If you're going to use this practice to do a paranormal investigation, you're basically need to have some questions ready and prepared that you may have to ask, or you could just be open to whatever they want to tell you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's kind of either way. And then as you hone this skill, which, it's one of my favorite ones that I like to do. I don't do it during a paranormal investigation because I prefer not to communicate with beings that way. Mm-hmm. I do it more for me, communicating with spirit and guides for myself. But you can also get, as you grow with this, you can also start to do, if you use it with the paranormal investigation, pictures and etchings, where you just start sketching.
Oh, wow.
Whatever you're seeing in your mind's eye, you're drawing. Or you're letting who's there move your hands and draw for you. So Cindy Ka's, a well-known psychic, does the drawings, and some of her drawings are pretty amazing when she's done with them.
Yeah.
Now, psychologists and spiritualists, obviously have varying beliefs on the origin of automatic writing. Some argue that it was a source from the unconscious mind. Others claim that its origins were from supernatural forces such as spirit guides and angels. Now, my first experience with automatic writing, I've mentioned it before on the podcast. I was pretty new in the growth, and I had asked a couple questions, and I got answers, and I just waited for them, and they came in the reverse order, which I thought was funny, because I did number one here, number two, this is this, number three is this, and it answered backwards. It gave me number three's answer first, and then number two was two, and then number one was last. Yeah, and then I did an open reading right after that, and that's where Metatron came through. And at that point, I didn't know who Metatron was. When it came through, I'm like going, okay, I'm writing it down. I don't know what that is, but okay, And that Metatron with you. And I'm like, okay, and then I Googled it, and I was like, oh, okay. So, that was, to me, affirmation, because I didn't know who Metatron was.
Yeah, exactly.
And so once I looked it up, it was like, okay, that worked. because there's no way I could have pulled that name out of the hat. So that was Spirit's way of showing me, and Metatron's way of showing me that, yes, this is working and you're not alone. And I'm going to help you, which was very, very, I think I called Kim immediately. You're not going to believe what just happened. But, you've got to be open, and you just have to write down the first thing that comes into your mind's eye, or what you hear, or if you see a picture, write it down. It doesn't matter that you're not writing a straight line. Hopefully you can read it when you're done, because you're not concentrating on writing, you're concentrating on what you're hearing and writing that down. This, for me, helps calm me because I get answers. When I did the automatic writing, that's when it told me not to go to the paranormal convention last year.
Mm-hmm.
And turned out that Dad had a medical emergency during that period that I would have been gone.
Right.
So I was being directed through this method and being communicated. And from myself, that was the easiest way for Spirit to communicate with me at that time.
Right.
So you don't concentrate on your writing. You just write. Just write down what you're hearing. And it wasn't a big quote, so you don't have to worry. It was just like your hits, a couple of words.
Right.
Now, this could have a calming and centering effect on your mind and body. It can help you gain a direct spiritual guidance from your soul or higher self. It can give you more inner clarity and a bird's eye view of understanding. It can give you the improved ability to make decisions because you're going to be using. It helped me to make that decision on not to go to the paranormal convention.
Yes.
Because I was conflicted. I didn't know why I was conflicted, but I was conflicted. I mean, I knew a couple reasons why I was conflicted, but it wasn't for that reason.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Kim knows this. Kim knows what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, listeners. So it also can do some healing and balancing with the third eye chakra and your throat chakra. Because your throat chakra, you're communicating your questions and stuff. Even though you're writing them down, you're communicating through your chakra, your throat chakra. And your third eye chakra is where you're receiving the information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could have an increased heart connection. It can help sharpen and hone and develop some of your intuitive abilities. It can help support and deeply understand what's going on in your life by doing this daily practice. It's also going to help you trust your gut instinct more the more you do it. And it can also help you understand your path and your purpose.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
Now, like I said, I enjoy doing it. The only place I promote it is with Kim and on this podcast for what I do. Because you're asking personal questions a lot of times if you're doing this for your development.
Yes.
But you can also use it as one of your psychic tools like we talked about in previous episodes.
Mm-hmm. I've not tried this yet.
How come?
I just haven't tried it yet. I was working on other things,
you know. And it may not be time for you to work on it.
Right.
Maybe there's other things you're supposed to be working on.
Right. Yeah.
The first time you do it, you have to empty your mind. And that's why meditating prior to it helps. Because you're raising your vibration. You're going to connect with spirit. Don't put pressure on yourself like I should have had an answer by now. Well, no, because obviously you're thinking too hard and you're not listening. It takes time.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to set a timer, if you're worried about time, you can do that. But the whole purpose of automatic writing is to get guidance from your soul, get guidance from your spirit guides to tell you what you need to do or what you need to work on or answer your questions for you. So, I mean, obviously you need to set an intention that this is what you want to do. Some people, this was an example I came across when I was doing my research, and I thought it was simple yet mind-blowing. Simple question, because you want to keep the question simple.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want a complex paragraph. But one of the examples was, Dear soul, why do I keep sabotaging my happiness? How many people sabotage their own happiness?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Wow, yeah.
I thought that was kind of a deep question.
Yeah, very deep.
And, but you have to be open to, that kind of what the answer is going to be. Relax your mind, do breath work, do mindfulness, meditation, aromatherapy, a visualization. If you do yoga, you know, do some yoga, sitting in nature, just whatever it is that's going to let you be able to be just do the meditation, get into a light trance, and just go ahead and write what comes to you.
Good advice.
Okay. You have anything else to add before I move to interpreting the information?
Just, do you feel different whenever you're doing the automatic writing, or do you not know because you're just waiting for the answers? Do you know what I'm saying? Can you feel things?
When I get the answers, it's the same way as I get my psychic hits. So sometimes I see a picture. If I see a picture, I try to draw that picture.
Mm-hmm.
If I get a word, I write the word down.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, so I just write down. If I see colors, I write the colors down. It's whatever's going on, I write down.
Okay.
Now, once you're done, now you need to be prepared to do a little self-reflection of what came through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is it metaphorical? Is it symbolic? If you saw a pyramid with different designs on it, you want to try to Google that to see what is this? What is this? You know, what did the colors mean?
Mm-hmm.
What was said to you?
Mm-hmm.
If you're still kind of not clear on everything, sometimes that's because ego steps in and you're trying not to be open to what the information is saying to you.
You might not like what the information is telling you. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you do need to, that's where the self-reflection comes in. You need to be open to see what was the true message. Now, a key to making this easier is the more journaling you do, the easier automatic writing will become.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love automatic writing. I love my pendulum. You know, I just think that they're great tools that anybody could do.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, just with a little practice. So my final one is psychometry. And I like psychometry. I've practiced it a little bit, but this is really one that I should really because you know, this is where I don't like to touch people comes from.
Yes.
It's from psychometry.
Yeah.
If I want to hone psychometry, then I'm going to have to touch people. You know, or touch things. Now, I can go into an antique store and touch things more so than Kim can.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I mean, I've done some psychometry. Now, psychometry is where you get facts or impressions about a person or a thing that you get these impressions by contact with the object associated with the subject of the impressions. So a ring, a photograph, a token, those are the often the things that you use. You could use a person, a physical presence, and then that's where you do the touching.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can get real facts, so the stuff that's happening right now. Sometimes you might get something that's a future fact.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're going to do psychometry, it's going to be the same as premeditation. That sounds awful to say it like that, premeditation. Meditation. I'm like, wow, that didn't sound right. You want to get your vibration up like you would for a reading. You want to, you know, have somewhat of a trance. Now, when I say trance, you're going to, like, if you're holding an item, you're going to just stare at the item until things get blurry.
Mm-hmm.
And then open yourself up for, if you're more clairvoyant, what visions. And usually psychometry is visions. So it's usually linked to clairvoyance, but doesn't mean you have to be clairvoyant for this to work either.
Okay.
You could just get your mind's eye information.
Mm-hmm.
This is the psychic ability that is most commonly used for solving crimes.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're looking at a picture of the person who is missing, or you're given an object of theirs to hold and to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So this is usually what is used for your solving murders or solving missing people.
Right.
You can also use it to find lost objects. You can use it to feel the history of an object, which I've done that. The house that I used to live in, when we purchased it, I found tucked away in the basement floor up on the ledge in the wall, a old-time copper ashtray. It looked like a little copper pot, like a little witch's kettle.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was copper. It was filthy as all get out, and a pipe right next to it.
Hmm.
So I definitely tried the psychometry on it, because it's like, this is really weird. Why is this here? And do I need to put it back?
Right. Yeah.
I cleaned everything up, and I had it on display, and I didn't feel anything bad with it. But when it came time to move out of the house, I put it back where it was, because it belonged to one of the entities that lived in the house.
Right. Right. Yeah. Now, focus on that a little bit. If you weren't already planning on doing it, why would you not have moved it originally when you got it, when you found it?
Some things are put, now this wasn't actually physically in the wall. They used to put an old shoe in the wall as a form of good luck or protection.
Mm-hmm.
Some items, which seem random in today's world, are actually to ward off bad things.
Right. Right.
So those kind of situations, that's why, I wanted to do the psychometry to first get the thing whether it is okay to remove you. Why did you reveal it to me?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because, I wasn't crawling around on the basement floor when I found it. It was like, what is that? What's that over there? But some things are put into the walls with some intent to them.
Mm-hmm.
And without you knowing what the intent is, if you come across something that's in the wall, you might want to do psychometry or automatic writing or meditating, whatever your, I don't want to say your superpower, whatever your most useful gift is, and see, is that something, should you remove it?
Right. Because sometimes if you do remove it, it can really cause a bit of havoc in the environment.
It could upset the system.
Yes.
It's especially in a location that is haunted.
Yep.
So yeah, you do have to kind of figure out before you move something if you should move it. Anything that's got any kind of emblems on it, I would recommend not touching it. Because you don't know what the intent is. But a fun place to try to practice psychometry, obviously, if you've got someone who is helping you with your spiritual growth, you could try doing psychometry with one of their items.
Mm-hmm.
You show me a picture of someone that I don't know, and let me see what I can get off of it.
Right.
I had somebody show me a tombstone once, a picture of a tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to, just by holding the phone that had the tombstone and concentrating on the tombstone, I was able to tell that person things that I was getting. And, like with anything, I'm just telling you what I got. I'm not interpreting it. I'm just telling you what I'm getting. And when you do this, like with someone hands you a locket, you don't know who the locket belongs to because you don't want to ask questions, and just what you're getting off it. And you might be really surprised on how many hits you get, but you got to do the meditation process beforehand and just complete stare at the item, or if you want to close your eyes and see the item in your mind's eye, and just whatever comes to you want to say.
So interesting.
That's what I'll do at antique stores.
Yes.
Because I don't mind having antiques in my house, but I do mind bringing home house guests.
Yeah, me too. I don't like the house guests that come.
And maybe this is a technique you should teach your bonus daughter.
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
So she quits bringing home things from the Goodwill that have other things attached to it.
Yeah, that is definitely a problem.
But I'll use psychometry when I'm picking up my gemstones.
When
I first started out wire wrapping, it was a gentleman on eBay, and I know I'm digressing, but he sold cabochon stones he cut by bulk. He was just trying to get rid of his collection. So I was buying. I bought them because it was like a phenomenal price, and they were not all, some of them were miscut, and but I was just starting out. And there was one stone I had that I didn't realize it was a labradorite, and it had a face in it. Remember the face in the labradorite?
Yes, I hope that's where you were going with that story.
And I'd had that stone for years, but I never wanted to touch it, and I never wanted to wrap it. And I had someone wanting to see Labradorites, and I'm like, well, you're coming out. And then I moved it. And when I moved it, I'm like, oh my, it was a face. He looked like he was wearing glasses.
Yes.
You could see the outline of his face.
Mm-hmm.
He was creepy looking.
Very creepy. The whole stone was creepy.
But if I had been practicing psychometry, I would have picked up on this earlier. I wanted that stone out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't going to sell it to anybody.
Yeah.
So it got returned to the earth.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that just shows where anything can have a creepy vibe.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was linked to a lot of bad things in my life.
It was something. I mean, I only saw a picture of it. She sent me a picture of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there is a person. There's a face. What?
Yeah. Yeah. So I put the picture of the stone on my crystal pages that I follow. And some people are like, oh my gosh, I'll buy it. That's so cool. Other people are like, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Like going, and I was already like to the let's get rid of it thing.
Yep.
I wasn't doing psychometry. If I'd done psychometry, that stone would have got gone a long time ago. So I do less buying stones online and more buying them in person. And I touch every single one.
Yeah.
And there are those I sit down and walk away from. Nope. You're not coming home with me.
Yep.
So, Kim, anything you'd like to add to psychometry? Or any of the other items?
I don't think I have anything else to add to them other than they're all fascinating to research on because of the different sites and stuff that you can go to where they're talking about them. They're talking about their own experiences that they've had with these various characteristics, and it's so interesting to read about them. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And I'd really recommend anything that you're working on, journal your results.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So where you're at in your practice and how you're evolving, or how you saw this one symbol and this one symbol keeps showing back up. That might be a symbol made for you that Spirit wants to use with you, so you know what that symbol means. Like Julie, when she does reading, she sees certain symbols and she knows what those symbols mean.
Right. Yeah. Because she's identified the meaning to that symbol.
Yeah, so that's Spirit's meaning for her, which
right.
may not be the meaning for me.
Exactly.
So, okay. Well, anything else, Kim, before we close this episode down?
I think that's all I have for this week's episode.
Okay, me too. Well, thank you. Thank you, listeners, for listening to this episode of Psychic Bent. Please let us know what you think about the episode. We always enjoy getting feedback. You can reach out to us on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. We do read the messages we get there and do respond to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of them. Some of the spam ones we don't.
Right.
Yeah. So anything else, Kim? You want to give the email address?
Oh, you can reach us at psychicbent1@gmail.com. You can also follow us on YouTube and make comments there, or subscribe and follow us on any of the podcast platforms that you listen to us. And we hope you've enjoyed this episode.
Yes. Thank you for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to Psychic Bent. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.